own straitjacket. On Trump indictment, this is a political witch hunt. How Trump plans to beat his indictment, politically. The former president keeps consolidating Republican support. But the legal peril is the greatest he has ever faced and adds to his challenges. With independent voters, our enemies are desperate to stop us. Donald Trump's supporters see his indictment as yet another witch hunt. Charges, and even a criminal conviction, don't legally stop Trump from running or even serving as president. Donald Trump's indictment on charges related to the payments of hush money to a porn star breathes new life into his favorite campaign tactic, running as the grieved victim of a Democratic-run deep state hellbent on keeping him and his supporters out of power. Charges, and even a criminal conviction, don't legally stop Trump from running or even serving as president. It's all up to his opponents to make or break Trump's political future. If prosecutors can make a charge stick, for Trump, that indictment is like capturing lightning in a bottle, allowing him to fully unleash his unscripted, hours-long speeches about his previous two impeachments, and the long series of hoaxes and witch hunts he says the Democrats created to block him from saving America for his white, working-class base, who believe an elite ruling class has ignored them. When they go after me, they're going after you? Trump said during his first 2024 campaign rally on March 25th in Waco, Texas, where he said either the deep state destroys America, or we destroy the deep state. In a speech focused on his grievances, our enemies are desperate to stop us because that approach could very well win him the 2024 Republican nomination, as he has continued to maintain the support of about a third of GOP voters, enough to win in a crowded field. The political elites and power brokers have weaponized government to try and stop him, as Trump supporter lashed out at Fox News.
We check in now with the great one. I call him the great one. He's the host of Life, Liberty, Levin. Weeknights, weekend Sunday at 9 p.m. Top show on the network. The great one, Mark Levin. Mark, I'll just hand it to you. I know you got a lot to say.
President Trump is 76 years old. If the Department of Justice gets his way, he will die in federal prison. Just by one of these counts, conspiracy to obstruct justice, which has a 20-year maximum sentence. This is a disgusting mark on American history for the future to come by these bandits in the White House, by the Democrat Party that don't play fair anymore. They don't want to just win elections. They want to take control of this country. They want one-party rule. And they have used the Department of Justice and the FBI to get what they want. Merrick Garland is a mob lawyer. That's what he is. Jack Reed is a rogue Soviet-style prosecutor. The Presidential Records Act is not a criminal statute, and it was never intended to be. The Espionage Act of 1917 was passed under Woodrow Wilson, another corrupt president. Woodrow Wilson used it to go after his adversaries, and they imprisoned 2,000 people. So I suppose over there at the Department of Injustice, and this clown prosecutor spent a lot of time at The Hague, they probably figured these laws could be used to try and entrap Trump. All these obstruction issues that they claim, where the former Attorney General, Bill Barr, comes up here and bloviates about it, and all the formers coming on talking about obstruction. They have them on obstruction. There'd be no obstruction issue of any kind, not even in anybody's imagination, had they not criminalized this case. This is a document case. A document case where a president of the United States or a former president faces 100 years in federal prison? Is this some kind of a sick joke on the American people? Joe Biden says he never told them what to do. Joe Biden had to sign off on that's becoming a National Archives case to have it go to the Department of Justice. Who does he think he's lying to? The American people? This is a guy that's got documents from the time he was in the U.S. Senate, for God's sakes, in his garage. I don't want to hear from the legal analysts the technicalities about false statements and obstruction. This should never have been a criminal case. Willful retention of documents. Well, what's the unwillful retention of documents mean? They're throwing all these process crimes and all these crimes that grow out of the criminal investigation against Trump. What did he do with the documents? Did he sell them to the enemy? No. That's why we have an Espionage Act, not to trick up a president. What did he do? Did he burn them all? No. The government has all the documents back. So there is no violation of the Presidential Records Act at this point. But they throw the book at him. They go after his attorneys. They make them testify. They're attorneys under the crime fraud exception to attorney-client privilege. That means he didn't have due process. His own lawyers were being subjected to interrogations. And they had hundreds of in-person people testifying in front of grand juries. Thousands of collections of documents. For what? For what? And they indict him today? They indict him today in Miami? All of a sudden it's in Miami? All of a sudden we have a Florida grand jury? Because the moron in Washington figured out that there are venue issues that could lose him his case. This guy, this prosecutor, he lost 8-0 in the U.S. Supreme Court when they overturned the conviction of the former governor of Virginia because this jerk took a statute and expanded it. A jury in North Carolina wouldn't convict John Edwards because this jerk took a campaign statute and expanded it. And he's taken this case and he's undermining the country and he's interfering with a presidential election. And let me be clear, as Jarrett said, the Attorney General of the United States made this final decision. This is not the independent counsel statute. This is a special counsel appointed by the Attorney General under a Department of Justice regulation. This Attorney General, who pretends he's Helen Keller, he made the decision to indict the former president, and they made the decision to interfere in this election. You want to talk about an insurrection? This is an insurrection, and that's exactly what's going on here. Let me go on. Joe Biden is the crookedest crook that's ever been in the Oval Office. Everywhere we look, there's a predicate for a special counsel. They won't appoint a special counsel, even though it's compelled under the law in which they appointed this special counsel, and you're not supposed to appoint a special counsel against your political opponent. You're supposed to appoint one in the case of Biden. 20 shell corporations. $10 million coming from the communist Chinese military, spread out among the family. No businesses to support this. Endless meetings with Biden's, with Hunter Biden's business partners. Bob Alinsky, who ties Joe Biden to the crimes. Mr. Big, Mr. 10%. And what does Biden say? Well, then where's the money? He's asking us, come and catch me if you can. The idea that this man isn't under a criminal investigation and that they criminalized a damn document case to go after Donald Trump is sickening. And I would say this to our fellow Americans. Don't be bamboozled by these cable channels and these fools who come on and tell you, well, he's not above the law. Are you kidding me? Democrat Attorney General in New York, Democrat prosecutor in Manhattan, Democrat prosecutor in Atlanta, Democrat Attorney General in Washington, D.C. What do you mean he's not above the law? There is no law. What's going on here is a disgusting disgrace. It is war on Trump, it is war on the Republican Party, and it is a war on a republic. The radical left is doing what the radical left does while they cover up for Biden the way they covered up for Hillary. If Donald Trump is to be charged like this, Hillary Clinton should have been charged with 10,000 counts of obstruction because that's how many emails she destroyed, and 5 counts of destroying cell phones because that's how many cell phones they destroyed. I'm done, and I'm sick of it.
What you said, you know, Mark, many years ago you said to me, and you said in one of your books, we're in a post-constitutional America. And what you're describing here, when you said they are the ones that are that are abusing the power, that they've criminalized political differences, that they've weaponized the Justice Department. That's what you're saying. They love the term insurrection, and you're saying that's them. They're not abiding by the law. They're not abiding by the principle of equal justice or equal application of our laws. Am I hearing you right?
You're hearing me right, and let me say this. Today, what is today's date? June 8th? June 8th is the day of insurrection, not January 6th. A weaponized U.S. attorney, a weaponized Attorney General of the United States have unleashed the full force of the United States government against a former president, the leading Republican nominee to take on the existing president. We have never seen anything like this in the United States. We saw it under Stalin. We've seen it in other autocracies, Marxist regimes, fascist regimes, the third world. But they have taken the United States of America and they have dragged us into a hellhole. This is embarrassing. It's humiliating. And I'm going to tell you something. There are tens of millions of us. You have crossed the Rubicon twice, which has never been done. And we will never forgive you. Never, ever. And that's the bottom line. I'm done.
Mark Levin, thank you.
The former president's allies have portrayed the indictment as an act of war and called for retribution, which political violence experts say increases the risk of action. If you want to get to President Trump, you are going to have go through me. And you are going to have to go through 75 million Americans just like me, said Kari Lake, the Republican former candidate for governor of Arizona.
Certainly watch dozens of Trump supporters marching outside of the courthouse all day.
Local 10's Andrew Perez is live to continue our team coverage. Andrew.
Hundreds of supporters out here around the federal courthouse in downtown Miami. And when the former president arrived with his motorcade, you had people running around the federal courthouse just trying to catch a glimpse to see if maybe he would come out on his way in. For the most part, police saying they didn't have much trouble. Most showing their support. And some against the former president. A few confrontations around the federal courthouse in Miami, but for the most part, hundreds flocking just to try and catch a glimpse.
He's not a politician. He is a good man.
Every president has kept presidential record, even Joe Biden.
They're saying that he refused to give them back.
No, don't play the game, refusing, no, that is the same.
Security tight around the courthouse. Both sides for and against Trump, calling this moment both historic and sad for very different reasons.
Let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. The guy has gotten away with all kinds of stuff.
They've been looking for the crime in Donald Trump since he came down the escalator.
Many critiquing the felony charges here, holding signs and waving flags, at times shouting over each other. Trump is the first former president to appear before a federal judge on criminal charges. He's also leading the Republican field for the 2024 presidential nomination, and these supporters say they're diehards. They'd follow him anywhere. Police standing by at the ready to keep crowds away. All right, so there really weren't very many issues at all until right at the very end. This is video just into our newsroom. The man we actually interviewed in that piece in a jail jumpsuit, a critic of the former president, jumping out in front of the motorcade as Trump was leaving the federal courthouse. He's ultimately stopped by what appear to be Secret Service agents and police and then detained. Back out here live, though, all streets reopened. The crowds have left for the most part. But not until they had a quick kind of mini party in the middle of the street. We're going to explain more about that coming up. Local 10 News at 6 o'clock. That's the latest here in downtown Miami. I'm Andrew Perez, Local 10 News.
Mostly seem very